Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about setting up Studio One to work with your audio interface as well as any external devices that you might have, like a keyboard or maybe you have a drum pad like this one. So let's start with the audio interface. Right now I'm looking at the welcome screen on Studio One, and if we go just below the artist profile, right now it says built-in output, but I can configure the audio device by clicking right here. And it opens up a preferences window where we can see things like general settings, locations, audio setup, external devices, and some advanced settings. So right now I'm looking at the audio setup, and if you look at my playback and recording devices, they're set to my built-in sound, which is part of my laptop. So I'm working this session on a laptop, but if you have like a USB audio interface that's connected to your system, this will be one of the things that's going to show up here in this tab, and you can choose that as your audio device, and then Studio One will recognize it. And then that will be the one that it will use for doing audio input and output. So it's really just a matter of choosing that device and hitting OK. But while we're here, I'd like to point out something else that's very important about this page, and that is the device block size. You can see right now that mine is set to 64 samples. And basically, this number is something that we would like to keep low as possible when we are creating, recording, playing instruments, because what it's going to do is it's going to lower the latency or the delay between the input and the output of our audio device. So if the number is very low, we're going to have a nice immediate feel on the keyboard or on the drum pad. If we're recording onto a microphone with our voice, we're not going to hear any kind of an echo or delay in our headphones. Now, later on, as you get more tracks into your session, maybe you have a lot of plugins going, you might find that your computer is starting to kind of slow down or to have a problem with doing playback. And as long as you're not recording or inputting anything like keyboard or a microphone, you can actually turn that number up and make it a much larger number. And it gives your computer more time to process more things, and it'll run a little bit smoother on playback for you. All right, the next thing I would like to show you is how to add an external device like a MIDI keyboard to your setup in Studio One. So again, going back to the preferences window, before I did it here on the welcome screen, I'm going to go to Studio One and just click on Preferences, and we end up in the same location. But this time I'm going to go to External Devices, and it's got a little icon there that looks like a MIDI connector. And right now we don't see anything on my screen that's been configured for Studio One. So let's go ahead and add this keyboard setup to my computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Add, and we have a lot of options here. You can pick some brands and some devices that you might have, but I'm just going to go with a sort of a general keyboard setup. So I'm going to leave all the defaults where they are, and I'm simply going to choose the MIDI interface that I'm using for my laptop. So I'm using something called a MIO MIDI interface, and it basically runs from the USB port on my laptop, and then it goes to my keyboard over here and plugs into the MIDI input and output of this keyboard. Now you might have a keyboard that already has a USB cable on it. That's cool. You can go straight into your laptop and it should recognize it straight away. In this case, I'm going to hit New Keyboard, and if I wanted to, I could rename this stuff. So maybe I'll call it Roland FP, because that's what I'm playing here. And then where it says Receive From, I'm going to choose my MIDI interface. In this case, for me, it's the MIO, and the same thing for Send to MIO, and hit OK. So now you can see that Roland FP is configured for Studio One, and I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm just going to open up a session here and just check to make sure that the interface is working. All right, so here's a piano that I've got set up through Presence. I've got it recorded enabled, and if I play this, it should work. Cool. So my MIDI interface is talking to Studio One, and I'm a happy camper. Now I can start creating some music with it.